I mean, the same reason fucking kids shouldn't, like, why student debt is such a, like, bullshit situation. Because it's like, yeah, you have some 17-year-old kid who's like, I want to be a marine biologist. And then he goes and he's like, oh, I can't do math. I'm dumb as shit. And now I owe $40,000.
A lot more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only debt you can't get out of.
He's so fucked up.
It's so fucked up. To saddle kids with that, like
So
literal
fucked.
Children, 17-year-olds,
Yeah.
18-year-olds with that is so nuts. Because you can get out of everything.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Do you think Sam Bankman-Fried is going to have to pay $8 billion or whatever the fuck is missing?
Yeah.
He's not going to have to pay that.
Did you see this that Sager did? This piece about Ivy League? I think it was...
No, let's play
Columbia.
it because he's awesome.
Well, he was repeating Malcolm Gladwell's thing. It's a perpetual motion thing.
Well, why does it? We'll get a sense of it.
Of learning in the U.S. have long departed their mission statements. They are effectively recession-proof industries set up to bilk the federal government and students while funding a pernicious ideology that is spreading across our higher elite like cancer. At the root of it is a rigged financial system. These industries beclown themselves because they can. They can because students pay. But more so, they don't even really need the students to pay anymore. It has become increasingly clear in the size of university endowments, which Malcolm Gladwell recently revealed as a scam of epic proportions, focusing his laser on Princeton University. Princeton is the world's first perpetual motion machine, Gladwell writes. At the heart of his argument is this, quote, after a stellar year in 2021, Princeton University has an endowment of $37.7 billion. Over the past 20 years, the average annual return for the endowment has been 11.2%, which puts Princeton's return next year at roughly $3.77 billion. He continues, now what is Princeton's annual operating budget? That would be $1.86 billion. The arithmetic is not hard. $3.7 billion in investment minus $1.86 in operating still leaves you with $1.91 billion, leading him to conclude what? Quote, Princeton could let every student in for free. The university administrators could tell the U.S. government and all of its agencies, it's cool. We got this. They could take out the cash registers in their cafeteria. They could hand out free parking to all visitors. They could give away Princeton sweatshirts on Nassau Street. They could fire their entire accounts receivable staff and their entire funding staff tomorrow. In fact, his team even put together this handy little chart. Princeton has been not just doing this recently, but for nearly 2 decades. On a year-by-year basis, their endowment return, just the return, nearly exactly equals or surpasses the entire operating budget of the whole school, meaning no student would ever need to be charged tuition again. Or you could imagine a world where students pay much, much less. Also, as you can guess, this is not just the case with Princeton University. It's the case with almost every Ivy League institution in this entire country, whose endowments in some cases surpass, and I'm not kidding, the GDP of small African nations. With this mountain of wealth, why are they not doing what they were supposed to do? They were supposed to spend it on students. Instead, they simply reinvest the returns, build an ever-growing pile of cash, giving fees to money managers, all while continuing to raise tuition precipitously, even when you're all giving them is freaking Zoom school. Tuition at Princeton right now is $80,000 a year. Let it sink in. That is 10 grand more than the average U.S. household income annually. Which brings us to the tax code. Now, look.
Yeah, that's good enough.
I
but
mean,
Jesus Christ, what a scam.
Ivy Leagues in general, it's like they're like, and that's, I mean, I think education should be free. I think you should be able to go to college for free. I think we should forgive student debt, all that kind of shit. But it is Ivy Leagues in general. It's like so fucked because they have the money.
Well, I think it would be wise if we gave it available to citizens. Like, what would be the harm in that? They wouldn't work hard to get it because it doesn't cost anything.
Well,
Maybe some people. But,
no, that's ridiculous.
But people need to figure out how it's not about that. Like you just because it's coming to you for free. Like this is a unique opportunity.
For sure,
you could actually learn something. You can get ahead in this life.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I think college should be free. I think or you shouldn't have to go to college. You should be able to go to trade schools, all that kind of shit.
Well, I think you can learn online too. I mean, there's a lot of universities. They don't offer degrees, but they offer like a lot of their courses online.
But that's also another problem with like Ivy Leagues and shit. It's like rich people just kind of like all their kids go. They can all afford to. I know so many dumbasses from Ivy Leagues, but it's like this fake prestige that it's just like, no, my family just had enough money to go. And
Yeah.
I've had friends. I grew up in Baltimore, and I've had friends who went to like Harvard and shit, and they were like, it fucking sucked. Like if you're a poor kid going to Harvard, it's like you feel out of place. You know, everyone. It's all people, and it's just like a brutal experience. And now, he does fine. He was smart as shit. He's a doctor. He was a teacher for a while. He's just like a good person. But yeah, I mean, I just think Ivy Leagues in general are the endowments are crazy, and it is like I think we are just fucking a generation of kids, especially when you make them feel like they have to go to school.
Well, not only that, you expose them to primarily to one ideology. And that ideology is the most aggressive, which is like woke politics.
I don't
so
know.
kids get that. Talk to kids that are in college. They get it crammed down their throat.
I mean, when I was in college.
How long ago was
10
that?
You got me 15 years ago.
Different world, brother.
Yeah.
Different world from 5 years ago. Different world. We used to see some of it, and people would be like, "Why are you complaining about this? You're not in college." I'd be like, "Because that's going to spill out." That kind of crazy thinking, you just abandon that when you get your degree. Well, I was talking crazy.
Yeah.
I got off the cults. No, you're going to keep that and transfer it to whatever tech job you get.
Tech job. I don't think the problem with tech places for me is like how like every tech idea is just like, hey, why don't we just not pay anyone? Like every single like Uber's like, hey, you know how taxi cabs exist? What if like the driver can't go to the doctor? It's like every tech idea is just like a thing that exists, but it's not a living wage anymore. And some cocksucker who can code gets rich, and the taxi driver and the guy who goes and gets the grocery, they don't get any fucking money. That's my
definitely a few
issue.
of those.
That's my issue with tech.
Well, that's one kind of tech, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm reading this book now that's a fucking terrifying book. I'm not reading it. I'm listening to it, I should say.
That's all
We
right,
should
man.
be honest on
Hey,
audio.
come on. Yeah.
But it's called The Kill Chain. Whoops. And it's all about technology and how far behind America is in terms of military technology and our implementation of the current technology that we have available, like the highest levels like NVIDIA chips and what that's actually been used in the actual military equipment and machines. It's so behind the times. The shit that's available that's the top of the food chain.
That's what's so fucking annoying is like, where the fuck that's what I can't stand about the way America's set up is like all the money is the fucking, the army gets the money.
But
so how the fuck are we behind?
This is talking about how those funds, those defense funds, is a lot of what funded Silicon Valley. That it all started there, like working on military intelligence and projects, and they dumped tons and tons of money into this stuff. And then, if you look at like what's available now in terms of like the top fighter jets and the top